How do we really determine someone's character?
Well, the first thing you have to do, the most important thing, is to realize that determining people's character is the most important thing that you have to do in judging them. So normally, we think if someone's very charming, that that's great, or if they're really good looking, or if they're very successful. So if we're looking, let's say we're looking for a business partner, or a romantic partner, or a colleague to work with, we're going to base our decision on those kinds of appearances. Like, people can be very good at deceiving you with being very charming and flattering, or they have a brilliant resume, and you'll be seduced by that. And what you want to do, the first step in that law, is to say, no, that's not how I'm going to judge people. My main value is their character and the strength of their character. And character is something from deep, deep, deep within. The word character comes from the Greek, chairos, which means to carve. And character is something really deeply carved inside the person.
Wow.
It's who they are at their core. It creates patterns of behavior that they can't even really control. It's who they are genetically. It's who they are from the early values of their parents. So you want to connect to that. You want to see that. It's not immediately visible to you because people will disguise their character. You want to see that and you want to value it more than anything else. And what you want are people with strong character. And what that means is people, they have an expression for metal, they call it tensile, where a metal is stronger if it can give a little bit. And because if something is too rigid, if it breaks. So you want people who are adaptable, who can be fluid, who aren't weak, because that metal isn't weak, who have an inner strength and a core to them, but they can bend, they can learn, they can adapt, they can change. You want to see people are empathetic, who know how to get along with other people. So if you have two people to choose and one has a glittering resume, but the other person understands human nature and is superior in a social sense, and can also has a good work ethic, you choose that other person. You don't choose necessarily the person with that glittering resume. And so one of the things you look for are patterns in judging their character. Because people reveal themselves in the past. They reveal who they are through their actions. They try and disguise it, but they reveal it. Nobody ever does anything once. So let's say you have a friend who does something kind of nasty to you. They talk behind your back. Then they'll say, oh, Robert, that was just, something came over. That isn't me. You know, I'm sorry about that. That just happened. It was circumstances made me do that. And you'll be likely to believe them. But the fact is, if they've done that once, they've probably done it many times. If people gossip and you hear them gossiping about other people, they'll probably eventually gossip about you. So you want to be able to look at people's patterns and look at their past and see trends and understand that if they've done certain things in the past, they will continue to do them because we humans have compulsive behavior. We are compelled to repeat the same mistakes over and over and over again. I have this problem myself. I notice each time I write a book, I'm telling myself, I'm going to make this book short. I'm not going to ruin my health. I'm not going to do so much research. And every goddamn time I still go through the same process. I can't break this pattern. Okay? And everybody has them. Where does it come from? Some of it comes from our DNA, from our genetics, things we can't control that we've inherited from our parents. Some of it comes from our early attachments. And some of it comes as we get older and we interact with teachers and mentors and various people who create a certain way we view ourselves. If people keep telling us that we're not really worthy, that we're not good students, we internalize that and we end up becoming like that. So it's a mix of things. You know, each person has a mix of these qualities, and you have to kind of untangle the various strands. And you're right, what I'm saying is you're a mystery to yourself. You don't know who you are. You have patterns of behavior, and you're not even understanding that. You don't know why you're angry. You think you're angry because that person said something mean to you or did something wrong. But in fact, your anger probably stems from things from deep, deep within, from your childhood. And you're not reacting to that person, but to actually your parents and what they didn't give you. I do a lot of consulting work with powerful people, and I've noticed increasing amounts of them have very poor people skills, very poor political skills. They hire the wrong person. They don't understand how to judge a person's character.
Yeah.
And it's odd that we live in the most sophisticated time in history with the technology that we have. And that technology, as you say, is almost making us more and more primitive.
Yeah.
Less and less able to understand the people that we're dealing with. You can be brilliant, you can be the best hacker in the world, but if you don't understand people, if you don't have that skill, you can throw it all out the window, because you're going to offend people you don't mean to offend, and you're going to be fired, and all these other things are going to happen. So most of the time, you're not paying attention. You're not really listening to people. You have these kind of simplified images of who they are. You kind of project onto them your own problems. You judge people as good or bad, friendly or unfriendly, and you have no insight or understanding of people. And the reason is that you're not really truly interested in other people. You're mostly interested in yourself and in your own ideas. People are fascinating. People are weird. They're a lot weirder than you think they are. Even that guy who's just handing you your coffee in the morning every day, he's got issues. He's got traumas from his childhood. He's dealing with all sorts of stuff you can't even see. If you could look into people's dreams, you would realize they're a lot weirder than you think. People are fascinating, and I want you to change your whole way of looking at them and to start putting your mind outward instead of inward. To start focusing on trying to figure out the puzzle of who these people are. So, for instance, I want you to take this idea that there's a whole language that people speak that you aren't paying attention to, and that language is nonverbal, right? So the way people smile at you, their fake smiles, the way they look at you when you first approach them, the tone in their voice, whether they're always late when they come to meet you, how they treat their children or their employees. These are all signs of who they are. And I'm trying to show you this other sort of hidden language that exists in the social realm, and it's very fascinating. And once you start picking this up, once you start realizing this woman who I'm interested in, I can now realize, she is actually attracted to me because she's giving off these signs. This person that I'm trying to persuade to invest in my film or some idea that I have, I can tell now that he is not interested at all in my idea. His body language. Okay, how do I respond? How do I learn from this? When you start getting that awareness, it's like the red pill in the Matrix. The whole game shifts, and you start thinking on a different level. You realize, I did this wrong. I'm reading people wrong. And it will change, it will radically alter how you approach looking at people. When people show you a very strong quality, like hyper-aggressive, or hyper-masculinity, or hyper-femininity, or extreme rebelliousness. And it's a little bit more than normal. It's like, this is who they are. They're really kind of pushing this out there in the world. I'm trying to tell you that reveals the opposite, that they are masking the opposite quality. So their hyper-masculinity is actually a way to disguise deep levels of insecurity within them. A Donald Trump type person, or someone who seems so virile, is actually probably a little bit doubtful about their virility. So people are hiding their weakness. So when you're a child, you're 4 or 5, you realize, I have a vulnerability in me. And you don't want to show that because it's painful. So you learn to cover it up with a mask that is the exact opposite. It's the best form of disguise. Don't take people's appearances for reality. They're hiding something. And the more pushy, the more they present something to you, the more they're probably trying to conceal the opposite.